Should we start up?
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so we're working our way through a Mishna over here. Rav Gamliel, all of a sudden, guess what? The Mishnah talks about somebody called Hillel. So we'll read this little part of the Mishnah. It says, Hillel Omer, Al Tifrosh Min HaTzibur. Well, we're going to try to give a whole share on that. See what it means. Al Tifrosh Min HaTzibur. Don't separate yourself from the community. What could be so bad? What's such a big deal? Don't separate yourself from the community. We have a Mishnah on it. We have somebody named Hillel. Okay, so we have two basic questions. How did Hillel get into the middle of this Mishnah or into the beginning, first third of this Mishnah? What is he doing here? We're talking about Rav Gamliel. So that's one question. Who is Hillel? How did he get into this Mishnah? Those who were here earlier, many months and months ago, heard about Hillel. We'll discuss in a second. That's one thing. And the second question we have here is, if I can find it, why place this idea about the community over here in this Mishnah? How did that get in here? We were talking about you should do the will of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, right, and not your will, and you should, right, you should match up with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That was what we've been talking about the last few weeks, right? You should make sure you should mavatel, nullify your will, so that you will do the right thing as far as the Kodesh Baruch Hu is concerned, and he'll nullify the will of people who are trying to come get you, or he will make sure that he will nullify a gezerah for you. Now all of a sudden we have Hillel and the community. So those are the questions. I'm going to try to answer them, and then we'll try to explain what it is Hillel wants us to know. Okay, Rav Moshe, would you just give that little introduction and we'll get into it?
Okay, muy buenos días a todos. Vamos a iniciar Be'ezrat Hashem con la clase de hoy, que se dedicaba para Rav Yerachmiel de Rav Nina Alexander Bar Ala, Jim Ben Adam, también Rav Shmuel Badush Ben Bian, Yochai Bet Sara, de Abigail Bat Sara. Iniciamos entonces con la continuación de la Mishnah que hemos estado estudiando. Entonces, en el capítulo 2, en la Mishnah número 4. Dentro de las palabras de Rabban Gamliel, el hijo de Rabbi Yehuda Anasí, tenemos entonces que es muy curioso porque aquí a la mitad de la Mishnah de repente trae a otro personaje y nos dice así: Hillel, no te separes de la comunidad, no confíes en ti mismo hasta el día que mueras y no condenes a tu semejante hasta que hayas estado en su lugar. Son palabras de Hillel. ¿Cómo llegó Hillel a la mitad de esta Mishnah? Habría que saber que Hillel era tal vez el tatarabuelo de Rabban Gamliel. Sí viene de su linaje, pero fue tiempo atrás. Tal vez algunos de ustedes recuerdan, si estuvieron en clases pasadas, cómo Hillel fue el primero que desarrolló toda esta gran línea de liderazgo y aprendizaje. Ahora, nos habla aquí respecto de la comunidad. En verdad, estábamos aprendiendo la semana pasada respecto a la voluntad de Hashem, como si la persona cancela su voluntad y adopta la voluntad de Hashem como propia. Bueno, Akadosh Baruj Hu haría de la voluntad de esta persona como si fuera su voluntad, como si fuera la voluntad de Hashem. Y esto podría tener repercusiones. ¿Por qué? Tal vez respecto a cancelar decretos. Bueno, se puede interpretar de varias maneras. Pero, en todo caso, ¿por qué viene a meterse aquí todo el tema de Hillel y de la comunidad? Entonces vamos a hablar de esto y vamos a ver qué tiene de relación en todo ello. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Well, when the great Sanhedrin existed, which is the high court, so about 100 years, I'd say, about 100 years before the destruction of the basic Mikdash in 70 CE, Hillel and Shammai were partners. One was the Beis Din and one was the Nasi. Now, Shammai was the Beis Din and Hillel was the Nasi, and they were conversers, and they watched over Klal Yisrael. Now Hillel, we spoke about Hillel in previous Mishnayos, and I was trying to explain to you what he's doing over here. And I'll give you a source we can go back and learn a little bit about them. So this Mishnah that Hillel all of a sudden shows up in, he was a great tzaddik, Hillel. As you go back, you learn more about it. So this Mishnah, all the rest of what's in this Mishnah, and subsequent Mishnahs that are coming up in this parak, I think all the way up to Mishnah 8, are all by Hillel. And there are Mishnayos that started before Rabban Gamliel, way back in the first parak. Mishnahs 12 to 14 in the first parak. With Mishnah 15 happens to be about Shammai. So what's happening here is the Gemara, the Mishnayos were ordered to show a train of tradition, because all the Mishnayos in between are descendants of Hillel. Rabban Gamliel is like the seventh generation descendant of Hillel. So we're going up the ladder from Hillel's descendants, one after the other, his son, his grandson, his great-grandson, and so forth. So the Gemara ordered it this way and brought Hillel back in here because he was earlier. And then it continued. We want to show how one Mishnah, one source of information in Torah was given over from one to the other. So if you go back and you look in the Mishnahs earlier, in fact, one Mishnah in particular, I remember I gave over, let's see. In the first parak, the 12th Mishnah, you'll hear about Hillel, and in the 15th about Shammai, and you hear about the history. You'll hear all about what happened when the Romans came in, how things fell apart. It's good for you. Anybody who didn't know and doesn't know anything about it, can't go into it all now, I'm sorry. You go back and you hear about it. But what we wanted here is to keep a chain of tradition. And when we get up to the 8th Mishnah, which is in the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he was a Talmud of both Hillel and Shammai. So the tradition continues. So we see that there's a chain. It starts earlier and goes, and then we go into Hillel's children and grandchildren and so forth. They're giving over into Rabban Gamliel, who's the 7th generation away from Hillel. Sometimes he's known as Hillel Zakein because there's a Hillel that shows up later. And then his Talmud and the Talmud of Shammai, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai in the 8th Mishnah, which hopefully one day we'll get to. But all the rest of this Mishnah and these previous Mishnahs that I mentioned are all by Hillel. So that's what he's doing in here. And why is he talking about the community? Why all of a sudden that? What is that doing over here? Because if you remember, Rabban Gamliel spoke extensively about the community. In the second Mishnah of this parak, second Mishnah, second parak, talked all about the community, building the community, being with the community, and what's gained from the community. So it's all a chain, is continuing on from earlier through now, and it may look like a mix-up. All of a sudden, in the middle of a Mishnah that Hillel didn't start with, he shows up. But he really belongs in there because he's the beginning source of all of this. Okay, Rav Moshe, and then we'll go into what does the Mishnah want? What does it want to teach me?
Nos dice entonces el Rab que cuando existía, el gran Sanhedrin, y más o menos unos 100 años, 150 antes de la destrucción del Bet HaMikdash, que sucedió en el año 70 de la era común, existían estos dos grandes Jajamim, Hillel y Shammai. Ellos eran jabrutayos, eran una pareja de estudio, estudiaban juntos y dictaminaban juntos la halajá. Hillel tenía el rol de Nasi, vamos a decirlo así, el representante, el líder del pueblo de Israel, y Shammai era el Abedin, el presidente del tribunal rabínico. En esta Mishnah vamos a estar hablando de Hillel, era un tzaddik de proporciones gigantescas. Ahora, las Mishnayot subsecuentes, a partir de esta cuarta Mishnah y hasta la número 8, al parecer, todas son atribuidas a Hillel. Ahora, es un poquito curioso porque digamos que se mezclan los tiempos aquí. Metemos a Hillel, que fue más o menos precedido por 7 generaciones a Rabban Gamliel, el hijo de Revi. ¿Por qué nos trae de esta manera la Mishnah? Bueno, porque viene ordenada y la idea es generar, una tradición respecto a la entrega de la Torá y de estos conceptos una generación tras otra y generar una conexión entre ellos. En algún momento, si pueden hacer el repaso, cuando estudiamos en el primer capítulo, la Mishnah número 12, menciona cómo fue la relación de Hillel, Shammai, todo el tema con los romanos y demás. Ahora, cuando lleguemos a la octava Mishnah de este capítulo, segundo en el que estamos, vamos a ver cómo Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, fue además alumno de Hillel y Shammai. Tenemos entonces una conexión desde Hillel, pasando por Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, y después toda una línea de tradición de los descendientes de Hillel hasta llegar a Rabban Gamliel, el hijo de Revi. Es necesario entender esta cadena de tradición, porque por los conceptos que se desarrollan. En particular, esto que va a hablar es en torno a la comunidad. Lo vimos la semana pasada, el hecho de enfocarse en vivir en la comunidad, no solamente ahí, construirla, y aunque parezca una mezcla de épocas en la que vivieron estos jajamim, todo viene enfocado en una razón en particular. Vamos a ver qué nos va a enseñar esta Mishnah en un momento más. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So there's a Gemara in Tainis, Yud Aleph Amen Aleph, that Rashi and the Rav, the Meforshim Rashi and the Rav, who we've mentioned many times here, they bring this Gemara down. And it says like this, it says, when the community, the Tzibor, is suffering, and a Jew disconnects from it, so you should know that every Jew walks around with what we call Malachei Ashores, 2 ministering angels that protect you. When you walk around, there are these Malachim who are with us. And when a Jew disconnects, these Malachim, these Malachei Ashores, put their hands on the head of this Jew, and they say, this man who detached himself from the tzibor, took himself away, is not interested. Well, it's going to be very bad for him. Because when the tzibor has what we call consolation and they're saved, he won't be there to see it. He personally is going to have a very, very big loss and be very sorrowful about this. Person belongs with the tzibor, and you can't just detach yourself. In fact, it goes on to say in the same Gemara, if this person says, you know what, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be beseder. I'll eat, I'll drink, everything's going to be fine by me. I don't have to bother with this. I'm not going to, it's not my problem. I don't have the problem. I'm free. I'm getting out of here. So we want him to know, you should be sad. You should grieve with the tzibor. You're doing the wrong thing. This terrible thing you're doing. And it says, so you won't be privileged to be involved with them when everything good happens to them. You're going to be completely messed up, totally on your own. Person should always know when his community is in trouble, he should feel that trouble. He should interest himself in that trouble. He should stay in that trouble with them to give support. The Kodesh Baruch Hu is looking down at all of us. He wants to see, are we a unit? Are we Klal Yisrael? Do we belong together? Or it's only when it, for some reason, is convenient for me. You know, if the Tzibor put themselves together to build the shul, and I need a shul, so it's good. I'll jump in there and then I'll leave. I go in, I daven, and get out of there. But what happens if Chas v'Sholom something happens and the shul needs upkeep, or there should be a fire, or something should go wrong? It's not my problem. There are other people who take care of it. I run away. Oh no. You'll find that you won't have any shul. And you'll find that you'll be in a lot of trouble. Kodesh Baruch Hu has many ways of waking us up. We're called Clase. We're all one unit. We all connected to the same neshama. And the community is our way of showing that and being part of that. So a person should never separate himself from the tzibur. He should be troubled when the tzibur is in trouble, and then he'll be there to see when the tzibur is saved, he'll be saved with them. That's the basic shot over here that Hillel is telling us. Lefi the Meforshim, Rashi, and the Rav, as we see in the Gemara and Tainus. Okay, Rav Moshe, we'll give that over, and then I'll go on to some other examples.
One quick thing.
Come into the screen.
On this, here in Yerushalayim, you're downtown, you whatever, you jump in. I'm sure it happens when you go to Mexico City. You jump into this shul, you jump into that shul. You have to get Mariv, you have to get Mincha. There's this beautiful shul. There's Sifrei Torah. There's an air conditioner. There's a floor that you're not falling through. There's this. You go to the bathroom. And I remember being told by Rav Bullman, who I've quoted many times, you walked into a shul that you had nothing to do with the building of. You used their water, you used their electricity. Somebody's got to clean up after your dirty feet. You davened mincha there, and you didn't leave them $1? You're a jerk.
It's a good word for it, jerk. Rav Bullman always had very good. Rav Bullman Zatzal always had very good words for everything. He was very stark and straight, and we both were zocha to learn from Rav Bullman Zatzal, and always put a smile on our face and sort of straightened us up. Okay. Okay, Rav Moshe, you give that over?
Yes. Okay, nos dice entonces nos dice el Rav. Lo dice la Gemara en Masejet Ta'anit, en la hoja 11 del lado A. Trae también Rashi en el comentario. La Gemara nos dice que cuando la comunidad sufre y el judío se desconecta de esta comunidad, es decir, pasa alguna situación y él dice, ¿sabes qué? Ya me voy de aquí. Eso está muy complicado. Los ángeles ministeriales que acompañan a esta persona, que sucede con cada judío y judío, ponen su mano sobre la cabeza de la persona y que salió de ahí, que no quiso involucrarse en resolver la situación, y dice cosas muy malas de esta persona. En particular, le dice, no verá el consuelo de el tzibur cuando venga la redención, cuando venga a resolverse el problema, no va a haber la redención. ¿Por qué? Porque decidió irse. La idea principal aquí es que no te puedes desapegar de la comunidad. No puedes decir, ¿sabes qué? Ya, me voy a mi casa, aquí está muy complicado. Y olvidarte de todo. Por supuesto, estoy muy cómodo, y no involucrarte en construir la comunidad. No es mi problema, por decirlo de una manera. Esto es una cosa terrible que la persona, por supuesto, está tentada a hacer. Porque el momento que haya una redención, simplemente no vas a tener parte de ello, sino que la persona tiene que involucrarse, tiene que sentir el dolor de la comunidad, acompañarla, y justo el objetivo de Hashem para la persona es que participe en el desarrollo de la comunidad, no nada más a la hora de disfrutar, porque a la hora de disfrutar cualquiera se arrima. Cuando te dan todo lo que necesitas o lo que quieres, seguro te vas a ir a arrimar ahí. ¿Qué pasa cuando hay que construir? ¿Qué pasa cuando hay que levantar desde cero? Es diferente. Entonces hay un problema. Ahí, por supuesto, actuar de esa manera es bastante feo. Si la persona se desaparece, se desapega, nunca va a haber la salvación del tzibur, porque no le va a tocar a él. Dice el Rav Zalman, interviene y explica un poquito de cómo es allá en Jerusalén, también pasa en la Ciudad de México, que de repente hay muchos Batei Kenesiot, hay muchas sinagogas alrededor, seguramente mucho más grande la conglomeración en Israel, en la que simplemente puedes entrar, rezar, y tal vez después del rezo te tomas un café, tal vez te vas al baño, es decir, usas las instalaciones. Entonces, Rav Bowman Zatzal tenía una frase, es decir, ok, entraste, disfrutaste del aire acondicionado, disfrutaste del lugar, disfrutaste de la sombra, disfrutaste del baño, y si no dejaste por lo menos $1, eres un miserable. ¿Cómo vas a hacer una cosa así? ¿Cómo no muestras el agradecimiento? Si tú no ayudaste a construir esta comunidad, oye, ¿por qué no muestras tu agradecimiento por lo menos de esta manera? Entonces, pues bueno, el punto básico aquí es, hay que estar con la comunidad en las buenas y en las malas. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, now the Bir HaGror, that's the Gror is the term we use for Rav Chaim, for Vilna Gaon, who lived 300 years ago, 300, a little bit more. And he says, he tells us, he even brings down this Gemara in Tainus, different part, different page. Yud Zayin, Yud Beis, from Yud Beis to Yud Zayin. We learn over from, we see in the Chumash, in Shmos, the battle where Klal Yisrael was finished coming through the Yam Suf, they're on their way, and they get attacked by Amalek. There's Goyish nation, and there's a very big battle. We curse Amalek. We have a special day when we do that, the Pasha. So what happened was Moshe Rabbeinu sat down on a rock and sort of led the battle against Amalek. And Yoshua and others led the actual battle in the field. And when Moshe Rabbeinu raised his hands, they were successful. Was getting very tired. They had to hold his hands up a little bit. But the Gra wants to bring us here that Moshe Rabbeinu was the person, the leader of Klal Yisrael, the chosen by Kodesh Baruch Hu to be the shaliach of everything. And it was obviously the most honorable position in the entire world. And he could easily have chosen to sit on a pillow or a mattress or something like that. But it's pointed out that he chose to sit on the rock the whole time the battle went, a long, long time, and be uncomfortable because he wanted to share in the distress of the community. He did not want to separate himself from the community, even to sit more comfortably. It was not the proper way to do it. And this what is the nature of a Jew. A Jew should never make himself feel so comfortable that he thinks, well, I'm rich, I got this, I have that. Those other guys who happen to be Jewish, sorry for them, too bad. You're not going to gain anything out of your riches. Kodesh Baruch Hu knows everything that's in your brain and in your heart, and everything you get comes from him. Don't separate yourself from the community. It doesn't mean you have to become poor if you're rich to be like somebody who's poor. But it means that if you see you have a poor community and you're rich and you can do something, you better go ahead and do it. Put yourself in there. Or if you see that people are unhappy or sad, go feel for them. Grieve with them. Try to help them feel better. So that's what we see here from Moshe Rabbeinu during the Battle of Amalek. He sat on a very uncomfortable rock, specifically so that he could be joined with his community. Okay, Rav Moshe.
Muy bien, nos dice entonces, Rav, que él trae al Gaón de Vilna, al Gra, respecto de esta Gemara. El Gaón de Vilna menciona, él vivió más o menos hace 300 años en Vilna, y él trae un pasaje en Shemot 17:12, en donde narra cómo el pueblo de Israel fue atacado por Amalek una vez que salieron de la tierra de Mitzrayim. Y nos dice allí que Moshe Rabbeinu levantaba sus brazos para en una especie de plegaria, mientras los brazos estaban levantados, el pueblo de Israel, ¿cómo se llama? Vencía en la victoria, vencía en la batalla, perdón. Y al bajar las manos, empezaron a perder. Ahora, él estaba sentado en una roca, en una piedra, y Yehoshua y el pueblo de Israel en general fueron a pelear contra Amalek. En algún momento se cansó y no podía sostener sus brazos, y de repente vinieron a ayudarle. Ahora, ¿por qué nos dice el Gaón de Vilna? Moshe Rabbeinu se sentó en una roca, en verdad, él era un shaliach, un enviado de Hashem, tenía una posición honorable, grande en el pueblo de Israel, y bien pudo escoger, no sé, póngame un sillón, póngame algunos cojines aquí. ¿Por qué se sentó específicamente en una roca? Nos dice el Gaón de Vilna que lo hizo así para que él no estuviera cómodo mientras el pueblo estaba peleando ahí en el valle, que él también sintiera incomodidad, que él se sintiera parte de este momento tan difícil que vivía el pueblo de Israel. El punto aquí es, dentro de tu desarrollo y apego a la comunidad, no seas como los que solamente quieran tomar ventaja. Cuando hay lo que recibir, pues voy. Sino que si la comunidad va a necesitar y tú tienes los recursos en cualquiera de sus formas, apégate y apoya a la comunidad, haz algo para ayudar. Lo que hizo Moshe Rabbeinu fue justamente eso. No se despegó de ellos buscándose un lugar cómodo para donde sentarse, sino que él quiso sentir también el dolor que el pueblo estaba sintiendo en ese momento. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we learn out the Meiri brings down. Meiri, we've mentioned many times, one of the Rishonim, a little less than 800 years ago. He brings down the famous Purim story. Apart from the story of Purim, a certain section, we get to the point where Haman HaRasha, who's became second to the king now, he worked his way up there. We can't go over the whole Purim story. Most of you may know it or know enough of it. You can read about it. But anyway, he pays the king Achashverosh, who's a low-life drunk king, who also got himself in there somehow. Anyway, he pays him a ridiculous amount of money. It comes out to something like 25 trillion shekels. It's ridiculous. 1,000 billion, 1,000 million, to be able to wipe out the Jews. That's sets up a whole plot. He's going to wipe out the Jews, and they send letters to the Goyim on a certain day. You're allowed to attack the Jews and kill them all, and fine to say. Anyway, Mordechai, who is the Gadol Hador, and been watching over Esther. He's her uncle, cousin. He's her cousin. First cousin. Okay, correction. First cousin. And he sends a message to her. She's been the queen. The previous queen was killed by her husband, the king, and it was a contest to get a new queen. And Esther became the queen. And he sends a message to her. Listen, the Jews are in trouble. Go to the king, because the king is infatuated with Esther, loves Esther. He said, go tell the king to stop this. So Esther says, wait a second, I haven't seen the king for a month, and you're not allowed to go see the king unless he puts his scepter out, like here. If he puts that out, it means you come and see me. If I go, the law is that if I go, he doesn't ask for me, the law is he's going to kill me. So the Meiri brings down that Mordechai tells her, he says to her, don't think that because you're in the palace of the king, that your chances for survival are greater than those of other Jews. If you hold your peace at this time, if you don't do anything, you know what? Relief will come from another place for the Jews. Doesn't have to be you who helps. It'll come from another place. And you know what's going to happen? But you and your father's house will be destroyed. We see from this, you want to say, you know, it's not my job to get involved. I don't have to do it. Somebody else will do it. No, no, no. He told her straight out. Lamaisi, she went, and it turned out he hadn't seen her in a month, but as soon as he saw her, he put out the scepter. And then from that, the whole rest of the Purim story develops. But we see a big thing here. You can never just shirk. You can never just say, I'm not interested. The whole Claude Yisrael was in trouble over here. Well, it's not for me to do because I'll get killed. I'll die. No. You will have great gain from this. You have to have a moon in B'tachin. You'll have great. The Gadol tells you. So we have a Gadol over here named Hillel telling us on our level. Don't walk away from the community. Anything you can do, if you're asked or you see that you have an in, go ahead and do it. Because if you don't, it's not like so big deal. No, it's a very big deal. It could be that you will pay very, very big for it. And instead, if you did what you're supposed to, you will have a tremendous reward. And your name will be in lights for eternity. Okay, Rav Moshe?
Ok, el Meiri, uno de los Rishonim, estamos hablando de hace aproximadamente 800 años, trae como su comentario menciona la historia de Purim, en donde Hamán, Rasha, él era el segundo, vamos a decirlo así, era como el virrey. Y viene y le da un soborno al rey, este borracho, a Hashverosh, una cantidad estratosférica de dinero, más o menos como 25 trillones de shekels, dice, una cosa de locos. Como un soborno, ¿para qué? Para acabar con el pueblo de Israel. Está dispuesto a gastarse muchísimo dinero para ello. Ahora, trazó un plan para poder lograrlo. Tenía todo bien planificado. Y cierto día, sin embargo, viene Mordejai, que era en ese momento el Jajam, el Gadol, era el Jajam más grande de la generación. Él era primo de Esther, la que en ese momento quedó como reina, y le manda un mensaje. Ya que tú eres la reina, ve e intercede ante el rey por el pueblo de Israel. Ahora la reina le responde, espérate, yo no he visto al rey, tiene rato que no lo veo, no me ha mandado a llamar. No puedo simplemente llegar y presentarme con él, porque si me presento sin ser invitada, esto es una pena de muerte. Sin embargo, aún así, Mordejai le dijo lo siguiente, es una frase bastante famosa, el Meiri lo trae aquí en el comentario del Pirke Avot. Él dice, no creas que porque estás en el palacio tienes más oportunidad de salvar tu vida. En verdad es que la salvación de todos modos va a llegar al pueblo de Israel, pero si tú no te involucras, si tú no actúas en favor del pueblo de Israel, de todos modos va a ser salvado, pero tú y la casa de tu padre van a quedar en el olvido. Puedes despedirte de la historia de ti y de tu familia. Ahora, justamente tenemos que aprender aquí que no desapegarse de la comunidad, no decir, bueno, a ver cómo se las arreglan, yo ya me voy de aquí, sino que tienes que meterte a ver cómo solucionas, a ver cómo ayudas. No decir que no te interesa. Ahora, puede que haya un riesgo y la gente dice, no, pues es que este riesgo y lo otro. Pero justamente por eso Hillel nos habla que es necesario hacerlo. Hay que tener bitajón, hay que tener una confianza práctica en Hashem. ¿Para qué? Para hacer todo ello con la confianza de que en algún momento la prueba va a pasar y todo va a mejorar. Haz lo que puedas hacer y la recompensa en algún momento va a llegar. Go ahead.
Okay. So now we have the Rebbeinu Yonah explains another concept over here that's very, very important. When the community is involved in Torah and mitzvahs, every extra person, not extra, but every person who joins in gives a greater honor to Hashem and makes a very, very, very big, huge statement in the Torah. Each one added on is making a bigger statement, not just the addition of one. It's greater than that. It's like exponential. It grows tremendously, the covet Hashem that's given when we have a tzibur that's growing more and more people learning together. This is learned out in Mishlei. Shlomo HaMelech, Ratzal tells us in Mishlei, Yud Daled Chav Ches, 1428, and we say this all the time. Rav Hadras Melech, in the multitude of the people is the glory of the king. I remember when I was in a certain minyan, when I learned in a certain place, and when a person, Chas v'Sholom, becomes a novel, somebody dies, and so there's an Indian, there's a situation where the child should be what we call the Shliach Tzibor. He leads the minyan. It's a special merit, a special schus for the one who died. So sometimes you have one or two people, three people in a tzibor. So everybody can't lead the same shachris, the same. So there are what happened. There's two concepts over here. One shita, one opinion says, you know what? Make another minyan. Make two separate minyanim. 10 over here, 12 over there. This one will be the leader here. This mourner will be the leader there. But there's another concept. I remember where I was, the rabbi, Rav Zev left, Shlit'a, he said, no breaking up minyanim. Rov Hadras Melech. It's better to have everybody davening together, even if the Avol doesn't lead, because only one can lead, than to have all these separate minyanim, because the multitude of people davening together is much greater than the davening in sections. And he was very adamant about it. If somebody came on to visit who happened to be a mourner, and he said, I'd like to lead he said, I'm sorry, we don't split minyanim up here, we all daven together.
Whoever says the same thing.
And so Rav Zalman just said that our Morad Asra, our Rav over here in this community holds the same way. I didn't know that. He holds the same way? Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't always see that. You see a lot of minyanim break up, huh? Huh? Yeah, people have their own ideas sometimes, but we've spoken about this a lot. Next week, we're going to talk a lot about how people have their own ideas and bad news. Okay, so anyway, so we see that we should be together whenever there's anything where we're doing Torah, mitzvahs, davening. The more we add in, the greater the covet Hashem is. Now, the Mogen Avos, who we spoke about him, the Rajbats, maybe also like 700 years ago or something, a little less, 650 years ago. He says, whenever you daven for somebody or for something, you should daven in the plural, not just by yourself. You should daven for Rabbim. You should say we should ask for all of us should get well, not just I should get well. Should include the people around you in your brachas, in your desires for help. Stick in that if you're going on a trip, we should all have a safe journey. If you look at a lot of the Lashonas written in the Siddur, you'll see that that's the way it's said. In fact, in Shmon Esrei, every Shmon Esrei you daven, it says, grant us perception, cause us to return, pardon us, look upon our affliction. It's all heal us, bless us. I mean, I'm davening. I'm the one who's saying these words. Why does it take bless us, heal us? I mean, bless me, heal me. You see, no, Shmon Esrei wants us to talk for the whole tzibur, each one of us. We're all together. There's one neshamer in Klal Yisrael. It's all a chelik. It's all a portion of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. We were created that way. And for those of you who are going to be Megayah, B'ezrat Hashem, you will become part of that neshama. It's all one. We're all of one unit. And we have to feel that way and think that way. We're not like other Goyish nations. We're only interested in self-interest, what's good for them, and what's good for them no matter what. No matter, I don't care what happens to the other guy who's not my business. I want to make money, finished. Come on, oh, I could lie, I could cheat, I could do anything I want. I could steal, everything's okay. Don't make any difference. As long as I'm ahead of the deal, I'm set, that's great. Don't make any difference. And they don't like it, so I'll beat them up or get somebody to kill them. All the nice things that all the other nations do. Well, we don't do that stuff. We don't do that. So we're trying to perfect ourselves to be nice people, good people, do what Kodesh Baruch Hu created us for, so that we could bring covet to the universe. We can make a purpose for the universe. We can make a purpose for people to be alive, and for everything else that services people, every plant and animal. Without us behaving properly, there's no point in the whole thing. So part of that proper behavior is being concerned for the tzibur. When you daven for people, when you daven for yourself, you daven Eloshin, heal us. Let us have a safe trip. And if you look at Shmon Esrei, when you go back, you'll see Lonu, Onu. You'll always see that it's a plural Loshin. Next time you look in your siddur and you daven, you'll see it doesn't say bless me, it says bless us. Look at it, you'll be very surprised. And whenever you have a chance to have personal prayers that something should happen to you that should be good, think of the people around you. You know, I hope that my ride from here to Sfat should be safe. No, I hope that our ride from here to Sfat should be safe. I'm including all the people in the bus as well and the driver. Okay? So that's what we're hearing out now from the Rebbeinu, from the Magen Avos, the Rajbats, that he should grant us all perception and that we should hang together and always think of each other. Okay, Rav Moshe.
Rabino Yonah trae en su comentario al Pirke Avot que cuando la comunidad está incluida, está involucrada, está cumpliendo Torah y Mitzvot, el Kavod de Akadosh Baruj Hu crece, se desarrolla exponencialmente. Y eso es lo que nos dice además Mishna, en los Proverbios, en el capítulo 14, 18. En donde es una frase muy común. Nos dice: la multitud de las personas crece la alabanza del rey. Quiere decir que mientras más personas estén involucradas en el cumplimiento de la Torah y los mitzvot, el honor del rey crece cada vez más. Hay una costumbre de repente entre Ashkenazim y algunas otras comunidades que cuando fallece, ¿no?, aleno, una persona, su hijo viene a liderar el tzibur, es decir, es el shaliach tzibur, es el Hassan, digamos que dirige el rezo. Ahora, ¿qué pasa cuando hay varias personas? Que, no sé, es una comunidad grande y tal vez hay varias personas que por alguna razón murió algún familiar o están en el año en el que murió el familiar, la costumbre durante un año. Entonces, pues va a haber situaciones en las que tal vez 2 o 3 estén en esta misma condición. ¿Qué podría hacer allí? De repente hay una opinión que dice, bueno, o sea, hay que partir el minyan para que cada uno tenga la oportunidad, uno tal vez un poquito más temprano, el otro más tarde, en un minyan diferente. Sin embargo, el Rav Yerachmiel decía, no hay que separar el minyan, sino que todos juntos, aunque lidere uno solo. Entonces, en su sinagoga, él cuando llegaba una persona así, tal vez de visita de los Estados Unidos o de algún otro lugar, y decía, ¿sabes qué? Estoy en el año del fallecimiento de un familiar cercano, quisiera decir Kaddish, él decía, mira, no separamos nosotros el tzibur, no hacemos varios minyanim, por lo tanto, disculpa, pero vas a tener que pues, rezar aquí sin ser el que dirige el rezo. Incluso, dice el Rav Salman, allí en su comunidad, eso es lo que es el dictamen general, que hay que tratar de mantener un solo minyan grande Y el punto es porque mientras más personas hay en el minyan, se considera que es más grande, se exponencia la alabanza a Hashem. El Maguen Avot, le conocen como el Rashbatz, él vivió más o menos hace 650 años, nos decía, si cuando nosotros rezamos, hay que rezar en plural, porque tienes que hacer de tus peticiones algo que incluya. Tienes que pedir por que nos vaya a todos bien, que todos estemos bien. Y si te das cuenta, en el Shemona Esrei, si agarras el Sidur y le echas una ojeada, vas a ver que en los rezos decimos justamente eso. Bendícenos, cúranos, escúchanos. Porque no hablamos nada más de yo, es decir, cúrame, dame parnasá, escúchame, libérame. ¿Por qué no yo y yo y yo todo el tiempo? Porque justo parte de ser pueblo, el ser parte del pueblo de Israel genera que uno sea garante con los demás. Por eso pedimos nosotros con un lenguaje plural. También ustedes, dice el Rav, que están en el programa de conversión, los que están, el momento en que lleguen a lograrlo, también va a caer sobre ustedes esto, y van a tener que enfocarse no en ustedes, sino en la comunidad, pedir por la comunidad, hacer de los objetivos de ustedes, los objetivos de la comunidad. Y de esta manera vamos a construir juntos, por supuesto. Tenemos que perfeccionarlos de manera continua. Y parte de cumplir el propósito, porque el universo fue creado, es justo desarrollar el servicio del creador. Y cuando se hace, digamos que en plural, en grande, es mucho más elevado esta boda, este servicio. Por eso precisamente Hashem se molestó por decir así, hacer tantas plantas, animales, para que este mundo sea tan increíble que nosotros podamos perfeccionarlos de esta manera. No solo voltea a ver al Sidur para ver cómo incluye a más personas, sino además voltea a verlos. Fíjate cómo pueden llegar a tener necesidades cada uno de ellos y trata de pedir también por ellos. Por ejemplo, cuando viajas, no digas nada más, ¿sabes qué, Hashem? Por favor, llévame con bien. No, lleva con bien a los de este autobús o los de este avión y también a los de otros, los de este carro, lleva con bien a todas las personas que van a viajar y no solo te enfoques en ti mismo. Go ahead, please.
I'm going to add one thing here to emphasize this point, how you can do it. And doesn't cost you a penny. I saw this when I was engaged with my wife, and believe that or I've taken it on. My wife has a hanhaga. If she hears an ambulance passing by, you're on a bus.
Yeah. My wife.
You're in the middle of a conversation with somebody. You're doing something else. You've got your own kids in the bus, whatever's that. It doesn't matter. You stop. Some Jew is dying in an ambulance. What right do you have to continue on without saying a Tehillim? But I don't know them. What right do you have to just continue as if nothing's happening? It's happening to me because I'm a Jew and that person's a Jew too. Now, I can't say it's going to happen in Mexico City, but here, if an ambulance is going down, it's another Jew. You stop. It doesn't cost you a penny, but that's the mentality that Yerachmiel is talking about.
Yeah, I'll add, my wife also has an on-hugger, very similar. She hears an ambulance, she says, I hope who's ever there will stay alive and be well. If it's a baby, a Jewish baby, I hope it's born and everything is Peseda. Same kind of idea, right away. Soon, that's it. Person should always be involved. You know, we get papers here in Eretz Yisrael. I'm sure you don't get them like this. Every day we get papers of people who, unfortunately, Jews, who maybe have 6 children, 10 children, 8 children, and the father died, the mother died, something happened, and they're asking for tzedakah. And the people knocking on the doors day and night, nonstop. We have all the time. We have the opportunity to be involved in giving tzedakah, and we all try to give whatever we can get, even if you can only give a little bit, whatever it is. But what if you can't give? Or what is a paper that came out and says, okay, we need a donation of 100 shekels a month, you know, for the next 2 years. You don't have it. You're lucky if you have 100 shekels a month for yourself. You don't have it. So you can get these papers, you can get used to that, put it over there, forget it, don't look at it. No. I look at it. Even though I know I'm not going to be able to give anything. I don't mean all the time. Most of the time we try to give something, but sometimes when they ask for these very big donations, just don't have the money. It's impossible. We ourselves sometimes are taking tzedakah. Anyway, but I look at it, I see the faces of these children whose father just died or whose mother just died, who are hungry or a house just burnt down or whatever it's about. Look at it, try to feel something attached. You know, everybody has an attitude, it happened to the other guy. Until you find out you're the other guy. Sometimes it happens to you. So, you know, it's a shame what happened to that kid. Yeah, sometimes it's your kid. Oh, it's a shame the way that marriage broke up. Sometimes it's your marriage. Everybody thinks when something is happening that's not happening to them, it's happening to somebody else. You can't think like that in Klal Yisrael. You have to feel it. Okay, you want to add that in first motion, then I'll go weiter.
Okay. Nos dice entonces, interviene el Rav Zalman y dice cómo involucrarte en esto. La verdad, no cuesta mucho trabajo, no cuesta ni un peso siquiera. Cuando él conoció a su esposa, desde entonces ella ya tenía una costumbre. Por ejemplo, tal vez tiene mucho más sentido en la tierra de Israel, porque la mayor parte son Yehudim. Si estás de todos modos en una comunidad, puede aplicar, ¿no? Que es cuando su esposa iba, por ejemplo, en el autobús, o estaba en la calle, o en algún lugar en particular, y escuchas una ambulancia, inmediatamente paras lo que estés haciendo. Es decir, estabas platicando con alguien, estabas con tus hijos, estabas preparando la comida, escuchas una ambulancia, inmediatamente paras y haces una tefilá, un teilín, no sé, el 121, que no sé, te puedes tardar un minuto cuando mucho para decirlo. ¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué no lo harías? Esa sería la pregunta. Es decir, nada más porque Hashem Shalom no eres tú el que va en la ambulancia o alguno de tus familiares. Dice, ¿quién te da el derecho a no involucrarte? Es decir, no te cuesta un peso, no te cuesta nada. Lo único es parar lo que estás haciendo y decir un tehilim por estas personas, o lo que dice de repente, también la esposa de Rav Yerachmiel, como que hace así, de repente lo primero que dice, ojalá que sea un niño y que nazca bien. Y si no, pues bueno, dice un tehilim, ¿para qué? Para que esta persona, la que sea que vaya y tenga una recuperación. Al final de cuentas, tenemos que tratar de involucrarnos, de sentir, de ser empáticos con todos los Yehudim, incluso en un momento así. Muchas veces, dice Rab, en los periódicos religiosos llegan anuncios. Ahora este papá, lo aleno, falleció, la mamá o los hijos tienen una necesidad, se quemó su casa, cosas así, y piden para tzedakah. Muchas veces van de puerta en puerta, y esto dice el Rab es común y sucede todos los días en la tierra de Israel. Ahora, ¿qué pasa? De repente uno no va a tener tal vez el dinero para ayudar con tzedakah. Tal vez incluso tú estás en la necesidad o alguien está en la necesidad de pedir tzedakah. Entonces, ¿qué? Nada más por eso vas a echar ahí a un lado el periódico, algo así, no lo vas a mirar. ¿Por qué? No tengo para ayudar, entonces ni siquiera lo voy a mirar porque no me quiero sentir comprometido. No, al contrario. Muchas veces cuando yo no tengo tal vez para ayudar de una manera económica, mira los rostros de los niños que están ahí en el periódico y siente un apego, siente el dolor que están sufriendo. ¿Por qué? Esa es una actitud, es la actitud que el pueblo de Israel tiene para consigo mismo. Imagínate que Hasbe Shalom te sucedió a ti, que estás tú ahí en el ¿cómo se llama? El periódico, te anunciaron una cosa así terrible, o a tu hijo, Hasbe Shalom, o a tu pareja. No puedes pensar en desapegarte, no puedes decir, bueno, no soy yo ya, lo que sea. Al contrario, para ser parte del pueblo de Israel tienes que ser empático con el pueblo de Israel. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, a couple of strong statements over here that we need to say. So, first of all, we'll go with Rabbeinu Yonah. Rabbeinu Yonah adds that if the tzibur is doing a mitzvah and you step away, so that's like stepping on the mitzvah. It's like stepping on the avodah of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's like saying, doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care about this. And you're also, so you're weakening the tzibur, and you're discouraging people. You may be causing them to sin. So it's very, very big punishment causing people to sin. So that's one of the points over here. It's not only what you gain by joining the tzibur and the necessity, but it's what you lose and get punished for and create a very, very bad situation by weakening them and by telling Kodesh Baruch Hu, I don't care about your voter. So that has to be kept in mind. The Rambam says very straight, flat out, which is amazing. He says, if you see yourself separate, you lose your chelik in olam haba. You hear this? If you see yourself as not needing to be part of the tzibur, you're not going to have olam haba. You're going to be living in this temporary world for nothing. It's big stuff. It's coming from the Rambam. You don't get bigger than the Rambam. When people Rishonim of the, like the Rambam say things, we have to take it into our heads. It's not so simple to say, I don't care when you're a Jew. You better care. You're supposed to be living in this world to have an eternity of bliss in Olam Haba. You won't get it, says the Rambam. That's how harif, how sharp, how important this is. Hillel does point out, however, he's not talking about a tzibur that's like an evil type tzibur. If you're involved in a community that's already bad news, then get out of there. The opposite. Don't support them. Don't try to help them. Don't do any of this. If in general you're talking about living with people who, first of all, you shouldn't be living with them. But let's say you are, or you haven't gotten out yet. Don't get involved with them. The opposite way. Get out of there. This whole Mishna is going on. We're talking about where you're living with Haredim from Jews. You're in Shemayim. Then you have to be in touch with them. And to finish off what the Meforshim were trying to tell us, we have another point from Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch Zatzal, who tells us, everybody has a weakness. Everybody's got holes and imperfections. And you need the community to help support you. You need the community to help tell you what's right. You need a community to gather together with you, to make things better for you, to strengthen your common goals. You shouldn't get out of the community because that's your ace in the hole. That's the thing that's going to help you get straight. That's how you're going to win, because you're going to be able to get the support and the ideas and the blessings of the people you're with. Everybody, there's nobody who is immune to moral imperfections. All of us have yetzer haras and problems with selfishness and other things, and the community can help us straighten us out. So it's very, very, very important. Nobody can be sure that he's going to be Beseder his whole life without the community. The other way, you can be sure that you won't be Beseder without the community. Okay, Rav Moshe, you can say that, and then I want to tell one quick little story about a great tzaddik.
Okay, nos dice entonces el Rav, trae un par de declaraciones fuertes ya para cerrar el tema. Primero trae a Rabbenu Yonah, que dice que si una persona está haciendo una mitzvah, o si por ejemplo el Sibur, la comunidad, está haciendo una mitzvah y la persona se aleja, es como si se alejara de Hashem, diciendo, ¿sabes qué? Hashem no me importa lo que tú desees. O si debilita el Sibur, es como si esta persona estuviera llevando al Sibur al pecado. Son declaraciones muy, muy fuertes. El Rambam nos dice que si la persona se ve separado del Sibur, y es decir, yo estoy bien así, me siento bien separado del Sibur, dice el Rambam, pierdes tu parte en Olam Haba. Cosa terrible, viniste al mundo a nada. Todo lo que viniste a hacer aquí no tiene conexión porque no tienes parte en Olam Haba. ¿Por qué? te sientes bien fuera del tzibur, sino que tienes que venir a ser fuerte a la comunidad. No puedes decir simplemente no me importa, porque no tendría sentido tu existencia aquí. El Rambam, por lo tanto, nos viene a decir, fíjate lo importante que es construir a la comunidad. Ahora, por supuesto, esto se habla de una comunidad que está involucrada en mitzvot. Si la comunidad, o si el tzibur, es un tzibur que no está bien, que está haciendo las cosas mal, si hay algo ahí que esté incorrecto, dice no te involucres, salte de ahí. Es mitzvah salir corriendo de un lugar en donde hay un tipo de corrupción o una cosa chueca dentro de ello. Entonces, ¿sabes qué? Órale, salte corriendo de ahí y busca un tzibur, un minyan, en donde las cosas se hacen bien. Por supuesto, estamos hablando de apegarse a un minyan, a una comunidad, donde la gente religiosa, donde la gente está tratando de servir a Hashem. Ok, para el final de esta explicación de esta Mishnah, o esta parte de la Mishnah, nos trae al Rav Shimshon Rafael Hirsch, donde dice todos tenemos una debilidad, todos necesitamos a la comunidad para ayudarnos. Alguna cosa, siempre cada uno de nosotros va a tener una debilidad, por lo tanto, o un yetzer hara, vivir juntos, va a haber formas de reforzar, o siempre vas a tener a alguien que te diga, espérate, lo que está haciendo no es correcto. Y la comunidad puede ayudar a fortalecernos, a enfocarnos, a enderezar nuestro camino. ¿Por qué? Porque muchas manos logran más que solo un par. Ok, go ahead.
Okay. One of the great Gedolim, Rav Chanan Wasserman Zatzal, mentioned him before, great Talmud of the Chofetz Chaim. We're talking now about 70, 80 years ago, whatever, 100 years ago. Well, anyway, right before the war in Europe, somewhere I think probably around 1939, 1940, somewhere in there, Rav Chanan Wasserman, he had his own yeshiva called Baranovich. Anyway, he came to America to try to raise money for the yeshiva. Now the war broke out and Jews were in danger. We knew they were getting killed already. And it was clear that if he stayed in America, he'd be okay. He had four children. And he could stay in America. Nothing happened. He said, no, this is not a time to leave my tzibur. I'm going back. He said, but the chances are you'll be killed. He says, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I have to be with the tzibur. Have to be with them. So he went back. And he was killed by the Nazis. He and the tzibur were killed. And he told the tzibur then, he said, before we get, he asked the Nazi officer, can I say a few words before you shoot us down? And the officer said, go ahead. And he told everybody there, don't be afraid. We're going to die now, al Kiddush Hashem. And hopefully this will be a kapora. This is going to help all the Yidden in America who went off the derech, that they should become more frum. Our death is going to make a Kiddush Hashem, and it's going to help. Now look at this person. This person could have saved his life. And he said, no, I'm not going to separate from my tzibur. They need me now, even if I die. And he went, and he did die. He was so connected to tzibur that even in his own yeshiva, before this event, when Rosh Hashanah would come up, when Rosh Hashanah comes up, people spend fortunes of money, whatever they have, to get an aliyah, right? They want to be able to say the brachas for the laning of the Torah, because any skus, any merit they can get to elevate themselves is very, very big. And the Rosh Yeshiva always gets a bracha, right? Even during the week, Shabbos, Rosh Yeshiva always gets brachas, whatever. We honor our great Gedolim. Rav Chanan Wasserman Zatzal would not take an aliyah on Rosh Hashanah in his own yeshiva. Because he said, I don't want to separate myself from the tzibur. I don't want to be standing up there alone. You hear this? He didn't want to stand up alone at the Amud and make brachas. I'd rather be with everybody else in the seats. Don't send me up there alone. I want to be with my tzibur. I want the protection of the tzibur. I want the schus of the tzibur. So we see from the greats how they behave and what they do. And we have to take from that. We have to pay attention to this. We have to behave like this. Okay, Rav Moshe.
Nos dice entonces una historia, el Rav, respecto de un jajam muy grande del siglo pasado, el Rav, el Hanan Wasserman Zitzal. Antes de que estallara la Segunda Guerra Mundial, hablando en 1939, 1940, él viajó a los Estados Unidos, tenía una yeshiva, se llamaba la yeshiva Broderius, y viajó a los Estados Unidos para juntar dinero, para mantener la yeshiva. Cuando llegó a los Estados Unidos, estalló la guerra. Y básicamente ahora la pregunta era, ¿hay que regresar o mejor quédense? ¿Por qué? Pues bueno, es peligro de que podían llegar a morir ahí. El Rab tenía 4 hijos en ese entonces y él decidió regresar a Europa. Ahora la gente le decía, ¿sabes qué? Te vas a poner mucho en un riesgo muy grande. Sin embargo, él le dijo, no puedo dejar a la comunidad, no puedo quedarme aquí y que la comunidad se quede sufriendo sola allí. De hecho, regresó y justo murió en manos de los nazis, murió en la cámara de gas. No, murió, parece que fueron fusilados. Antes de morir, él pidió a uno de los soldados, allí los iban a ejecutar, ¿no? Si podía decirle algo pues a la gente que estaba allí. Le dieron el permiso y le dijo a los presentes que iban a ser ejecutados, no tengan miedo, si estamos por morir, sí, lo vamos a hacer al Kirush Hashem, lo vamos a hacer por santificar el nombre de Akadosh Baruj Hu. Ahora, que esta muerte nuestra y de los judíos que están aquí y que han muerto sea para expiación y que cuenten para que los judíos en los Estados Unidos regresen a la religión, que vuelvan en Teshuvah. Ahora, estamos hablando de una persona que ya estaba del otro lado, que podía haber salvado su vida de una manera muy fácilmente, pero no podía perder su convicción con el tzibur, sino que tenía que llegar, aunque esto significara morir junto con ellos. En ningún momento pasó por su cabeza quedarse solo. De hecho, era muy curioso porque cuando viene Rosh Hashanah, normalmente uno trata de comprar las aliyot, como se llama su vida, la Torah, y estas se venden bastante caro, son las que cuestan más caro en todo el año. Y generalmente también se le da el honor, tal vez al Rosh Yeshiva, al Rab de la comunidad, para que tenga una aliyah. El Rab siempre rechazaba este honor, porque él decía, ¿para qué me dan el honor? Voy a tener yo el honor y voy a estar solo ahí arriba leyendo la Torah, mientras que todos los demás están abajo, nada más porque aquí a mí me quieren dar un poco de honor, dice, mejor no me lo den. Yo prefiero estar con la gente abajo y no estar solo arriba. Justamente esa es la actitud. Vemos cómo los grandes jamim, el apego que tenían por la comunidad, por el tzibur, era así de fuerte. Go ahead, please.
Okay, look, Haman was going to pay, I think it's something like 25 trillion shekels to destroy the Jews. Well, these figures are a little too high for me, but I'm willing to try to give us a bracha. Well, let's say, I didn't say I'm giving you this money. Listen carefully. I'm giving a bracha that we should get, I don't know, 1,000 shekels to perfect ourselves and to help the Jews, the opposite direction. You see the difference between what a Jew wants to do for Jews and what a guy wants to do to Jews? So keep that in your head. It's very important. Hopefully, we should be zocha to a little bit of money, and we should all grow from it. Rav Moshe, can you stay on the line after we're finished.
We'll turn off and go back on.
We'll turn off and go back on, okay?
Okay.
And one last point. I'm going to ask a special favor from the tzibur. Every once in a while I do this. I think I did it twice before. I wouldn't mind, I'll say better than that. I would like if people who are listening could write a little note, anything. Let me know if this is beseder for you, if you're getting anything out of this, if you like it. It would give me chizuk to continue, because the way I figure this out, Pirke Avot, if I'm allowed to continue, will take me probably, and I'm planning on going as long as I can, another 30 years. So I would like a little bit of strengthening that it's beseder. Okay, Rav Moshe.
Okay, bueno, dice el Rav que Amán Rasha pagó más o menos 25 trillones de shekels para que este Hashverosh fuera en contra de el pueblo de Israel. Dice el Rav, yo me quedo corto, tal vez no tengo eso ahorita en la cuenta de banco, pero seguro les puedo decir que Kadosh Baruj Hu nos mande un montón de berajot, y por qué no, algunos miles de shekels no nos caerían nada mal en nuestras cuentas, y que podamos recibirlo y que podamos también utilizar este dinero para bien, para ayudar a nuestros compañeros, para ayudar a la comunidad. Y pues bueno, el Rav nos deja con esta berajá. Por otro lado, el Rav quiere pedirnos un favor. De repente dice el Rav, si pueden, vamos a hacerlo desde el Hashem esta semana. Escriban un pequeño comentario, una nota respecto a las clases de Pirke Avot. Es el Rav que él está planeando desde el Hashem continuar otros 30 años más con esta clase, que tenga él nosotros el mérito, pero pues bueno, de repente le ayuda que le echemos un poquito de porras para ver si está bien, si estamos aprendiendo, si no estamos aprendiendo, si podemos mandarle un mensaje para fortalecer esta, ¿cómo se llama? Esta clase, lo puede mandar al grupo general de Ruth, y yo lo traduzco y lo mando con el Rav, ¿ok? Entonces terminamos la clase de hoy, que tengan todos ustedes muy buen día.
One for everybody who's not in the regular class, people who are from previous time. Tomorrow morning my time, you're tonight in our class. The end of the class, Rav Yerachmiel is going to be speaking to the new group. Rav Yerachmiel is one of the most important dayanim, on the most important beis din in the world. This is one of the Gedolei Yisrael. And he is going to be speaking to you guys, the people who are coming in, to give you chizuk on what you're doing. It is an opportunity to even see the face of a gadol, let alone hear his divrei Torah. So you people who were from the previous class, please come in. He will start speaking at my 6 o'clock, about 5:55. I told him, right? He'll come on 5 minutes to 6.
In the morning. Okay. So it will be our next class.
Our next class in the middle, like towards the end of the class. So come on for the last 35 minutes.
Okay. Bueno, entonces, para la gente que no está en el grupo de conversión de esta ocasión, es bien importante, el Rav Yerachmiel Goldberg Shlit'a, él es uno de los jamí más grandes del mundo. Él es un dayan, es un juez en el tribunal del Beddin de Benebrat. Desde el Hashem, en nuestra próxima clase, que sería de hoy en la noche, va a dirigir algunas palabras. Va a ser al final de la clase. Entonces, pues bueno, están invitados. Estamos hablando que va a ser por ahí de las 8:50 de la noche. Entonces, si pueden venir, va a ser una cosa increíble poder escuchar al Rav Yerachmiel y el mensaje que nos pueda dar.
Shalom Aleichem.
Terminamos entonces, voy a finalizar la sesión. Que tengan buen día. Hasta luego.
Aleichem shalom.